Hi, it's Cindy, and I am blogging for Faces from the Neighborhood, and I'm here at the beautiful home of Teresa Rodden, and we're snuggled up on her couch. It's a beautiful October day out there, and I might take some pictures of her Halloween festivities that are happening outside her house when I leave. But I want to introduce you to Teresa because she is amazing. So her business is Pink Cloud Coaching, and first of all, tell me what is Pink Cloud Coaching, and who is Teresa Rodden?
Oh, such a good question. Oh, and I just covered my mic after I put it in my ear.
She did. She put the mic in her ear.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Let's both do that for a second. Yeah.
We'll just do it.
See how
well it works. I'm sitting there going like this. How's that work? You probably hear more here. So what is Pink Cloud Coaching? Pink Cloud Coaching is it's an alternative, or not even an alternative, but a progressive approach to help women change their relationship with alcohol. So it's not about the alcohol. It's all about the woman taking charge of her life.
Okay. All right. So let's just outline the difference. Because the only thing I know about is like what Alcoholics Anonymous, where the focus is, this is alcohol, it's this monster,
right?
Versus Pink Cloud Coaching, which is this is about your life, and she's lighting up. You got it.
Okay, so Alcoholics Anonymous, it really feeds on the whole premise that you have this disease, and it's a monster inside of you, and it's always growing. It's never cured,
right?
And no matter how long you abstain from it, it's out to get you,
right?
Okay. So that's the traditional theory.
Right.
That's the gold standard out there right now. Now, when I was in Alcoholics Anonymous and I was facing 3 bankruptcies and I was penniless, jobless, and homeless, yes, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I was still going to meetings and like beaming, like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm free. And they said, oh, you're on a pink cloud. You're going to come crashing down. You're going to end up getting drunk. You better keep your butt coming to meetings because this is a pink cloud. I know, right? And so eventually it's like, you know what? I like this pink cloud thing, and I'm just going to hop on it. And I'm going to just move out. And so I went out and I blazed a new trail, and I've been sober for over 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I've never struggled, ever struggled.
Well, that's like modern positive psychology talks about, if we feel good, those are the things that you're supposed to go towards, right? Not away from.
Right, right. So while I was, when I was newly sober, I was facing all these really mountains of challenges, but I really saw it as though I was free, right? I have my sobriety. I have never been sober my entire life as an adult from the age of 12 years old. Wow. So in sobriety, 12 years old is when I started misusing alcohol to numb out the pain.
Holy cow.
So when I got sober...
She has a book. She writes about this.
Oh, yeah. Book, yeah. Holy Sober. When I got sober, I decided to go after life instead of managing my disease or managing my addiction.
Right.
Instead of trying to abstain, which I do and have for over 15 years, my focus has been on setting goals and going after dreams and having aspirations, not just reminding myself of all the horrible choices I've made.
Right.
And I've made some.
Right. Right. Wow. Welcome to the club. Yeah, but those are, I see those as opportunities, right? Those bad choices point us in different directions.
It's interesting. I was at an intuitive speaking workshop all weekend long, and on my way in Sunday, I was thanking...
And you can drop the name if you want to drop the name for the speaking. Danielle.
Oh, Danielle.
Yeah.
Louise Ross. She's amazing, by the way. But where was I going with that? Oh, I was on my way in and I was thanking my grandmothers. I felt my grandmothers over my shoulders when I was writing my book. They both misused alcohol horribly. Wow. One of them actually killed herself in a drunk driving accident racing between bars. Yeah,
I'm laughing kind of because it just sounds so ridiculous, right? And yet Yeah.
Yeah, and so that happened when my dad was about 9 years old. So I've never met her before, but I felt her presence when I was writing The Holy Sober, my book, The Holy Sober. And then my other grandma misused alcohol, and she was just miserable. She was a
Right.
cantankerous old woman,
Right.
and she died very young, just like 60 years old.
Right.
And so I felt them like going, yes, look at you, you're doing this.
The
You're,
way out.
You're changing this, and you're helping women break free.
Right.
And I can get emotional thinking about this because
Right.
I felt them.
Right.
And my mom, who now is in a blissful state of childlike wonder with onset Alzheimer's, but she's finally free,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But she never knew that freedom being sober
Right.
and being whole of mind.
Right. Right. You know, it's funny. My dad was an alcoholic, and he went to AA. You know, he went and got sober. He was so bad. He went to Hooper House. I mean, you know, it's pretty much the end of the place where some of them go because that's all he could afford at the time. But he's dead. He died from alcoholism, and I have his journals though when he was in treatment, right? And he does talk about it as being an entity, a thing, you know, inside of you that is actually really even separate from you, but this thing in there, and it's really hard to read. I can't read it. I can't just like pick it up and read it, but it's really terrifying stuff. And I wonder if people, you know, back in our parents' and grandparents' generations, if they would have had other options, you know, what that.
Well,
might have done for them.
I've wrote about that. I actually wrote a blog about that. What if somebody would have asked my mom, "Hey Judy, what are you drinking for? You know, what pain do you feel? And what else would you want?
Right.
If you had a magic wand, what would you create with it?"
Right.
You know, and I don't think mom ever had that space held for her. And so I'm doing my very best to break that system, break that whole glass container that you have to be this certain way.
Right.
And that keeps women away from even reaching out.
Right. Right. And you talk about kind of moving on here. You talk about that. I don't have to be like drunk every single night. It could just be somebody who self-medicates just now and then. Am I using good terminology?
Okay. So here's something I really want to be very, very clear
Yeah.
about. I have been opening my talks recently with my mother. I've known my mother to be drunk even when she's not drinking.
Right.
And my mother in her abstinence has never been sober.
Right.
And if we really look at the truth of the words, that if you're going home and you're drinking down 2 glasses of wine, that's it. You're not getting drunk. You're
Right.
not doing anything, but you're drinking it down because you're lonely or you're bored or you're mad or you're depressed. You're misusing alcohol. You are drunk. And it doesn't matter that you're not falling down intoxicated. You're drunk with depression, or you're drunk with sadness, or you're drunk with loneliness. I really want people to understand that sobriety is a state of mind, it's a state of being, and it's freedom.
Right.
So when we start dealing,
Pink cloud.
That's right, it's the pink cloud. So when we start taking charge of our lives, we can handle the darkness when it comes. The dark clouds, when they roll in,
Right.
we just hop on, we have our pink cloud pull us through.
Right. Right. And you've gotten some flack.
I get lots of flack.
And
You'll probably hear it. We'll probably get some more flack. I have a lot of, there's, you know, the lay person of Alcoholics Anonymous loves to attack me and says, this is the only way, AA is the only way, and if you're struggling to quit drinking, it's because you're in denial, you're just not ready yet, you have this disease, and none of that's true. Please don't buy into that. It might be true. I'm not going to tell you yes or no, but it's not absolute.
And everyone's an individual.
That's right.
It's just like coaching. You meet the client where they're at, and you help them where they're at. And if it works for your clients, then who's to say it's wrong, right? It's not right, right?
And the thing is I'm not saying that I am curing anybody or treating anybody. I'm not diagnosing anybody, but what I'm doing is I'm facilitating an opportunity for you to explore and experiment to see what's going on inside. And if we can zhuzh it up a bit to where you don't need that alcohol, so you can take it or leave it.
Right. And enjoy the experience of life.
That's right, because we only have one.
Right.
That we know of, that we remember.
Well, unless you're a cat. Okay, so I have some questions here. At what point did you say, I want to help other women do this?
Okay, so there's a couple of different answers to that, because from the moment I got sober, I wanted to help women. And I thought, women don't want to openly come out and ask for help around alcohol. They don't.
Yeah, there's something like, I don't know, what is that? Like,
It's a stigma.
yeah.
They don't want to be put in a box and say, oh, I know you. You're an alcoholic. You sit over here. You fit nicely in here. This is what you do. And we're done.
Right.
All right? Because they're individuals. And they may not be ready to give up their wine.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's okay. And we should have that opportunity for them to explore and get curious about it.
Right.
And well, what does it mean? Okay. So I started as a health coach, actually a health counselor at LA Weight Loss. As soon as I think I was 6 months sober.
Wow.
And I really thought that if I could help women with their weight loss, that I could work with them and help them see how amazing life could be, right? And that would be a way into it. Well, I quickly learned how diets are frustrating, not only for me but for them, and that it's really misdirected. So then in 2007, 2008, I decided to go get my life coaching credentials, and thought that maybe I could be a better coach. And I still hated health coaching and the weight loss coaching. And so I tried with life recovery coaching. So I've been wanting to help. I've been coaching people since I got sober. But in 2012 was when I'm done playing by everybody else's rules.
Right.
I'm done trying to, not make any waves. We're going to make a splash and piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
But we're going to change this
Right.
moving forward.
Have you always been a rule breaker?
I cut a lot of class.
That's good. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, okay. So men are going to watch this and they're going to go, well, why not me? Why can't I do that?
And they can.
Yeah.
And they really can. They can pick up the book. A lot of men have reached out when they've read Holy Sober and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I have one gentleman who reached out to me and he said, I wish I would have had your influence because I could have helped somebody who ended up not making it. Because I just fell back on the traditional AA jargon.
Right.
And had I had your influence, had I already read your book and been exposed to your Facebook page and stuff, I could have helped him.
Right.
I had a better chance of helping him.
Right.
Of course, we never have that total control.
Sure.
So there are men that are still influenced by my work, but
Right.
my message is directed towards the woman.
Right.
But you have to understand, my work is for my mom. I think of her spending, 70 years of her life and she's never had the freedom of sobriety.
Right.
And I want every woman to walk through this planet chest open, head held high, and not accepting anything less than what they deserve and what they want.
Right. I hear that from you.
Yes.
Yeah, you should feel that energy. Okay, so you're a pioneer.
I am.
You are. You're
I
also
am.
a leader and a pioneer. I think kind of pioneers are leaders in a way. So how has that changed your life?
Well, if you ask my mom, she didn't want to come live with me this time because she said I was bossy. True story. When she was in her medicated state of dementia, she's like, she's too bossy. I don't
Want to live with her. You just know
So
what you
there's
want.
that. But it really, being a pioneer, being a leader, has really made me understand that if something doesn't fit, if it's not working for me, then I can have the choice to change it. And if I can't change it, then walk away from it.
Right.
It's not that important.
Right.
Or accept it and change the perception of it. That's how leadership is and I get Oh, and this is my favorite. I get to lift people up, right?
Yeah.
I get to lift people up and help them shine and love them and support them. And so that, you just can't accept, I guess, to answer your question, how has it changed my life, is that I can't just get by with status quo.
Right. How long, what's like average? How long do people like work with you, or women work with you? An average.
Probably about 6 months. I have clients that I started working with back in 2012, 2013, and they'll book a session once a year.
Right.
Just for a tune-up.
Right.
But I'm not interested in creating a codependent relationship. So my flagship program is only 28 days long.
In and out.
Yeah,
Right.
in and out. It's like I want to equip you with the wisdom and the tools to help support you so you can live your life.
Right.
I don't want you having to rely on me, right?
Right.
Now, there are some that still want to do a weekly follow-up
Sure.
just for that accountability, and that's fine, but then that's also that it's created in a way to where they can use their sessions as they need.
Right.
I'm not their babysitter. I'm not somebody who's going to say, if you don't do this, you're going to break. It's like, when you're in trouble, and so you need to make that decision. You're in charge of your life.
Right. Right. Yeah, you're the boss. Right. How does what you do, you just talked about lifting them up, so how does what you do elevate women? And I'm thinking about this like globally, like with the whole, Me Too, with people calling women names, with people not believing everything. How do you think this contributes?
Oh,
In the big
massively.
picture?
Massively.
Yeah.
As I'm creating a sober revolution that we are really taking charge of our lives, that we're not accepting that you have this sickness, you're helpless, you're hopeless, you're powerless, which is right in the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
And some of them will twist that and say, oh, well, they're saying you're powerless over the whatever. Anyways,
Right.
You're not powerless at all, right? So what this does is this really informs the woman of how much control she really has in her life, right?
Right.
I get to choose who I am and how I show up in this world. I get to choose how I want to live and what I do.
Right.
Those are my choices. I'm empowered with choice.
Yeah.
So how does that not elevate?
Listen to me. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah! How does it not elevate when we get to choose? We're not being stuffed in a corner or put in a box.
Or stereotype.
Or
right?
stereotype. We're not labeled. You're not an alcoholic. You're a woman.
Powerful.
Hear me roar.
Strong and powerful. Yeah, you put that on your Facebook
I
page.
love that song. When I looked and dissected the words in that, I'm like going, oh, hell yeah.
Brilliant.
I am woman. And so are you.
Yes.
And you.
Yeah. Oh, you said, okay, so this is my last question because I think we should probably wrap it up here. Lisa's going to have to edit this.
Have fun, Lisa.
You said recently you help women go after life. So what does that mean? And how have you gone after life? I mean, you've been talking about it, but talk to me a little bit about, in your personal, like how has this helped you in your personal life?
How have I gone after my life? Okay, so I'm just going to give a quick blow by blow. When I first got sober, I went after being a health coach.
Right.
And I made $8.35 an hour.
What?
Plus commission.
Okay.
But not
Okay.
a lot of commission. You
Yeah.
get commission off of
Yeah.
bars.
Right.
When you sell
Oh,
protein bars.
Okay.
All right. So that's
I
not a lot of
know nothing about
money. Well, this was their makeup, and they did go bankrupt, by the way. So then I went back to my old corporate world because of the money, and I realized I can't work for money. It will kill me. I will get drunk again because my values are not in alignment here, and because I'm seeing them do some shady things, and I know where that leads.
Right.
And so I ended up going into business for myself through network marketing, which I worked my tail off and never made enough money to really pay any major bills. So and then I went after it. I just kept I kept following those little breadcrumbs, those little what else? What about this do I like? And so
Right.
and then I'd grab that and I'd move forward into something else, and then I landed in the pink cloud when I worked through all the fear,
Right.
because there's a lot of fear, because who wants to take on an establishment?
Yeah.
Right? A major
right.
establishment of Alcoholics Anonymous and the whole recovery system that's a multi-billion-dollar industry now.
Right.
Who wants to take that on?
You does. I'll do it.
I'll do it. But
right here.
I'm not taking them on. What I'm trying to do is to just really inject some hope,
Right.
having other possibilities to explore.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's that whole theory, like, of abundance, right? Like, there's never just one way to peel an apple.
well, please tell them that.
Yeah. I just said that.
So going after life, I mean, I've just never settled. I always have goals, dreams, and aspirations that I'm moving towards.
Right.
And if I don't, what happens is I get stagnant. And what happens in stagnant water? That's where the mold and the pus and the fungus.
Did you just say pus?
Pus. The pus spores.
She said pus on my video.
The mold and the pus and the fungus grows, and
yeah,
disease and
yeah, yeah.
bacteria and infection,
And there's not oxygen in the water.
So what do? I keep moving.
Yeah.
No pus here. So that's going after life, is really going after it and
Right.
making the most of it and say, oh, what do I get to do today?
Right, right. All right, so you have one book on the shelf, another one coming,
Primed Drinker. My editor's promising it any minute now.
Prime Drinker, and it'll be on Amazon.
It'll be on Amazon.
And so what's next after that?
Well, I just announced today that I have a YouTube channel, Pink Cloud Coaching. And I am going to be releasing, what do I call it? What did I call it? It's a series of videos on sober possibilities. So what could sober look like for you? What does it
I like
mean?
that. I like
And I'm taking information from my journals that I've had since I've been sober, and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens. And I'm also taking information from my family members who've gotten sober since, and from my clients. So I'll be able to share that information so women can go, oh, I never thought about sober like that.
Yeah.
Kind of sexy.
Yeah, it is. And for those of you in Portland, Teresa is accessible here. She does speaking gigs. And how can they connect with you?
Just go to pinkcloudcoaching.com, and all my contact information is underneath the contact label, tab,
Tab. Yeah.
whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. I would love to present. This is not about recovery. It's not about addiction. It's not about alcoholism. It's really about learning how to go after life sober-minded, which is very key.
And she's so much fun to have
I am.
coffee with. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.